Hey everyone, this is BRAINWAVEZ, and in this video I'm gonna show you how to make Wonky Bass in the style of artists like TVBOO or Dirt Monkey. This whole project file is available right now on my Patreon. If you want to get that, go ahead and check the link in the description, but this is what we're working with today. Alright, so I'm gonna start with the A section, which is this melody here. And then I'll jump into the whoops. And we'll go from there. So I'm using Vital for most of these patches. I have some post-processing going on. So the first sound that you hear is this one. And I'm gonna break that down for you. So I'm gonna take everything off on the effects. And I'm gonna go to the patch and also kind of disable all that is going on in here. This is not doing anything, so I'm gonna take that off. And this is the sound that we're getting. It's just the basic shapes waveform on this position. I turned the enharmonic. Still not getting that much sound. Then I put distortion on the soft clipping mode. Drive about 12 dBs and mix all the way up. Then I put a compressor. That's pretty much it for the patch itself. Then I did some post-processing, so I have amp with the rock preset, volume at 7, dry wet at 20%. Then some erosion going on the white noise mode, giving it that top end texture in there. And the resource that artists like TVBOO uses a lot is the shifter, and just playing with the fine and the dry wet in here, you can get that type of like movement that you hear on his songs. So shifter in here, I have the fine going at this rate, and I have an automation because on the second time around it goes at a different rate. On the second half of the drop I enabled another shifter that has pretty similar values. Fine is at the same value, but the dry wet is slightly higher, so at 20%. This is kind of accentuating more of the movement that you can hear on songs like from TVBOO. Then I enabled an EQ. I'm just cutting the low end because I have a sub bass going separately. This is a rack of mine that I use all the time for my sub bass. If you get the project file, you will definitely get this one as well. So I'm just separating the low end in here from the sub bass, and I'm just boosting a little bit of the very top end. That's for the A section. And then for the whoops, So to get this kind of wonky, squishy, high pitchy whoops, I found that using the glork glunk wavetables in Vital is pretty useful. So I'm using this called flange scroll, I guess that's how you pronounce that. I'm using the harmonic stretching here, and some post-processing inside the patch. So let me break that down to you real quick. I'm just gonna turn this off. Gonna take out the harmonic stretch, and I'm gonna bypass this. I'm gonna disable the filter, and I'm gonna put the level all the way up. So that's how the wavetable sound by itself. Then what I did is I put this shape on this LFO. It's going at 1/4 in the rate. I turn the level all the way down and map that to the level. So I get that movement of the volume. Then I do the same but with the filter. So I turn the filter on and I route the LFO1 to the filter. Then I'm gonna turn on the harmonic stretch. And for the harmonic stretch automation, I'm using this other LFO that is going slower than this one. I'm gonna unbypass it. And now I'm getting that squelchy sound, but it's almost unaudible. So I'm gonna just turn the distortion on and the compressor. And just so by combining these two LFOs and the filter, the level, and the harmonic stretch is how I'm getting that sound basically. Then I turn on the sub by a lot actually, and some of the 2000 range, and that's how that sound was made. Then I have like a bass filling here, which is one basic shape, one clicky robot wavetable, which is also from the glork glunk. This one is 1 octave up, level all the way down. I'm FMing that second oscillator from the first one, and I have that filter doing the movement, which is at 1/8, and I have some chorus, some compression, distortion, and phaser, so, and reverb at the end. So without all of that, without the FMing, it's not having much of a texture. It's just a sine wave. When I turn on the FM and I put this at 12 semitones up, I get that nice, you know, resonant sound, you would say. So that's for that bass fill. Then I'm gonna cover the second wub, which was a pretty similar process. Actually, I just duplicated the first wub that I had, and I started messing around with the second patch. So in this one, I changed the wavetable to Crappy Toilet, also from the glork glunk wavetables. Harmonic stretch is still going on. Some distortion, compression, and EQing, and the filter is still going on. So basically the same process, same LFO going on in here, same second LFO, routing is all the same, but just by changing the wavetable, I'm getting a different sound. And by changing the, you know, the harm stretch knob, I can get lots of different sounds just by doing that. same in the first one. If I go in here and move the harmonic stretch, or I just change the, you know, the position of the wavetable, I can get a lot of new sounds, which is awesome. Also, you can notice that second whoop doesn't have any sub bass. That's because I'm using the sub bass from the first whoop, which is kind of more prominent. So I just did an automation so that the second time on the second half of the drop, it's only the sub that is, you know, going through. But on this one, I just cut everything below 100. And I did some boosting in here and in here. Then finally I have this other bass fill, which comes once again as a variation of that one. So in here I'm still doing FM basic shapes. I change it to a square wave. In this one, I have still the same wavetable, but I took off the effects in here. And post-processing is mostly the same, so just by taking off some of the effects in here and changing the position of the wavetable, I'm getting a different sound. So that's for like the sound design part of things. Besides that, I just want to point out some of the fills that I have going on and the top end percussion, which I feel is pretty important. So pretty open hi-hats and rides and everything in there is carrying kind of like the rhythm. So that's something to take into consideration. And then I have some breakbeat type of fills in between the sections that also has like a reverb throw automation. Right before the second half of the drop, I have the snares being stretched out, but just by warping and just by hitting this ×2 button, I'm getting the snares to be stretched out, and I'm just using different warp modes to get like a nice texture. And then I have like a rewind sample in there, and also still some breakbeat sample. And just stuff to fill in the gaps basically. Also, I have some reverb automation in the drop synths, so all of these automations in here are just reverb throws that help again with the flow and everything. This is the automation for my sidechain. So yeah, I think that covers pretty much everything. I feel like I went on like good level of detail into this one, so I hope that was helpful. As I said at the beginning, this whole project file is available on my Patreon. If you want to get the presets, the racks, samples, everything is in there. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching. I appreciate it. Please leave a comment, leave a like, and I hope I see you around.